Our guest tonight for Shabbat Night Live and for this weekend was recruited by the Muslim Brotherhood in a mosque. He was trained by the KGB as a terrorist. Now, I'm intimately familiar with terrorism, lived in Israel for a number of years, and there was a time in Israel where a bus was being blown up just about every week. And the reason I'm wearing two hearing aids is that I was walking by the front of a shoe store at 50 Jaffa Street, and a woman, a nurse, who had come in on a Red Crescent vehicle, which is the air version of the Red Cross, brought in a suitcase, walked into a women's and children's shoe store, set the case down, stepped away from it. The girl behind the counter said, "Excuse me, can I help you?" Everyone turned and looked at her. She panicked, picked up the suitcase, walked out the door, walked past me, took 4 more steps, and her head landed at my feet. The arms and legs were all around me. My ears were blown out, and the entire front of the stores for 100 feet in each direction were blown away. 150 people went to the hospital, and I began to attend the wounded on the outside. Before I was finished, I picked up this girl's head, this woman's head, thinking it was a Jewish mother with her children in school on a Sunday morning, and it ended up that I took this woman's head, wrapped it up in a blue banner that had blown down, and put it over by a pillar. It wasn't until later that I found out that this was the first female Palestinian suicide bomber that blew herself up in downtown Jerusalem. My guest tonight was a terrorist. This is what he was raised to do, but not that kind of terrorist. This gentleman was raised as a political terrorist. Intelligentsia, when I first heard him with General Boykin doing a presentation, I understood that this man understood Islam. He understood what was going on in America because he was sent to America to do a job and to infiltrate America. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to now introduce Kamal Saleem. I keep on putting your first and last name together.
That's you.
Kamal.
It's good to be with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's good to, and this is not the name that you were raised with. You are in hiding, are you not?
That is very true. Kamal Saleem is my middle name in both of them, and not my first and last name.
Okay. Well, Kamal, tell us. You know, it starts back a long time ago, 7 years of age, I understand. Tell us your story about how you got involved with the Muslim Brotherhood, your life of terrorism.
Beirut. I was born in Beirut, a Muslim Sunni family, 14 brothers and sisters, in a 3-room house, kitchen, living room, bedroom. This is where my life story started. As a child, there's a place in my home. It was very near to my heart. It was the kitchen table. There that madrasa took place, which is schooling of the kids. You know, and the boys studied to be the leaders, and the girls studied to be the subservient, you know, to serve the boys, because they're the second citizen in Islam. There I learned my purpose by my mom. My mom told me, "You will die for the sake of Allah. You are so pure at heart. You will bring blessings to the family by destroying our enemy, the Jews and the Christians." From my infant age, you know, from there I drank the milk of my mother of radicalism. My hope and my desires is to wake up someday and the Jews and the Christians be destroyed ultimately. I dreamt about it. I focused on it. At 7 years old, I used to climb on a rooftop of the building, and I used to draw, you know, take my clothes off naked in a tub. There in cold Beirut night, I used to roll in icy water, crying to my God, "Allah, Rabbi wa Mawlay, Allah, my Lord and my King, if lam takun li, faman li, if you are not for me, who will be for me?" And I cried for hours because I want to have a relationship with him. I want to please him. From there, my dad took me out of school at 7 years old because I was not smart enough. From there, I started working. I was recruited in a neighborhood mosque by a special group called the Muslim Brotherhood. After the fall of the Ottoman Empire in 1924, the Muslim Brotherhood rose into existence in 1928 to bring back the caliphate and Islamic civilization, ummah, and establish, Sharia law, the law of the world, and one world order under Allah. I was trained by them. I was mentally changed how to invade civilization like the Western civilization, how to obtain the power of the Western civilization. There, my school took place in the mosque. You see, the mosque is not like the church or like a synagogue. The mosque itself is an embassy, represent the Islamic State. It's a place of training, recruitment, where you hide weapon caches. Statistics shows by the FBI, 84% of our American mosques in America, they are radicals. 84%. So therefore what happened is I was trained there, and then it was a month later that the whole group went to the PLO camp, and I was training under Yasser Arafat. At that time, it was called Fatah. From there, my life was changing. I went on my first mission to Israel. I was 7 years old, carrying weapon caches in a knapsack, going into holes, right there, tunnels, from the Golan Heights to manifest inside Israel, only to rendezvous with the shepherds, to give them the knapsack. They strapped on the belly of the sheep. They take them into Israel. They give them to the martyrs. They kill themselves and kill others. My life changed. I became a child recruiter. Now I was recruiting children from school. My hope and my, everything was Islam, is to love Allah and die for Allah, and that's all I had. I had no other hope.
Now, a lot of the bus bombings that have happened in Israel have been children that have been sent on the buses to blow themselves up. So you actually were involved in recruiting these children to blow themselves up.
I was a child soldier, and I was a recruiter, yes. I recruited those children in Lebanon, and then I took them, and they trained with us. And now the second mission, I was 8 years old. It was a bloody mission. I carried my best friend on my back at 8 years old. My life changed. But Yasser Arafat blessed me that day, and he said, only children like Kamal will conquer Jerusalem and bring Israel to be the land of the Arabs, of Islam. I was changed, and my life now was going a different direction. I worked for different groups until the Saudi Arabian government recruited me. And now I was working for the Saudis. The Saudis sent me specifically to Europe because they want to do civilization jihad. Civilization jihad, it is not like the 9/11. Civilization jihad where you change the culture, where the culture sleep, you change it while they sleep. And my life was involved in how to affect the Christian places, the Jewish places, how to shame them and how to bring them to assimilate to Islam, and how to go to the school system, how to invade the academia, going to the professors, how to go to all those places and then see where the weaknesses and the strength of Europe. We mapped Europe. But then the call came and they said, America has been winning war after war for the Muslims. We don't want the Crusaders to win Islamic war. We want to send you to Afghanistan. So at that time, the war did not break. I went to Afghanistan all the way to teach the Mujahideen how to shoot heat-seeking missiles. That was my mission. And there I encountered the special forces, American special forces, for the first time in my life. And the secret of these men was not their weapon. It was their character and identity and their godly value. There, I was going to go on a deadly mission, martyrs, to destroy a Russian bomber, Sukhoi. And after I did this, die for the sake of Allah, to set the example for the Mujahideen. That night they said, you don't have to die. We'll bring you back alive, Kamal. 7 men sat down and held their hands and they cried out to Jesus in the middle of thousands of Mujahideen. I was filled with fear. Why I was filled with fear? Because these men were not afraid to cry out to their God. That is the America that I knew. Yeah. This is the soldiers. These men love their God and love their nation and love the world. Therefore, I wrote the letter to the Saudi prince. I said to them, we're going to lose this war because we have not committed anything to this war, while the Americans committed their children, their blood, their sacred honor, and everything they have for bunch of mules. They're willing to give their life for these people, and we have not committed for this. So my commission came is, leave Afghanistan, we're sending you to America, we're going to take the war to their streets. And that's where it started.
Now, you made a stop off in Romania, did you not?
Yes, I did. I was a young child. I was in my teenage, and the war, Islam is not a religion. The majority of Islam, over 80+%, it's a political system, military system, government system. So Islam, it's really, only 14% of Islam is a religion. The rest of it is it's a fullness of government. And they came, to know that the only way to defeat the West and to defeat anything is by disinformation. How to, to teach those young men, the one they chose, how to infiltrate culture and bring about how to change the culture with disinformation. What is disinformation? Is when you release something to the people that you say it's a secret and it's not a secret. But you want the people to know this so they can step in one way versus the other. When you buy professors and send them to Turkey or Saudi Arabia to train and be paid to bring about socialism to the United States of America and Islamism. So this is when you pay politicians and you eat with them on the same table and you put sums of money. So now they are worshiping at the feet of Baal instead of the feet of this nation. This is how you shift the culture. You affect the culture, you buy a favor. And when you buy the favor, what happens is the whole world will start shifting, because the mountains of influence of our nation, they are not changed and shifted from the bottom. They are shifted from the top. Where the men sit, that's what you talked about earlier, priests and kings, kings and priests. This is our authority where we exercise in those 7 mountains of influence. And this is where the church have fallen weak. But nevertheless, this is what disinformation, this is what the KGB, will teach you. How to
and so you're actually trained by KGB as far as this subversion into America then?
Well, it was about Western civilization at that time. It was not about America.
Oh, okay.
And when we went to the Western civilization, to Europe, I wrote a letter to the prince. I said to him, Europe is falling. I said, if you want to have a good time, go to the church. The best drink and the best looking girl, that's the place, and a good music. That's the best place. It's better than any concert, because the churches where they're failing. And now the churches, as we see America, the church is getting weak. As the church goes, so goes the culture. The culture followed the church. And so therefore what happened is they lost their identity, and they didn't believe in this God that they really were worshiping. Now it became something to, it's just an extra culture act. So therefore, this is what happened. But then I was sent to America. Yes, America was not on my radar until they said, we need somebody with a heart to take on the greatest giant, because the giant that we need to take against, they are the great Satan. That's what we called him, America. And the small Satan is Israel. And by taking on this, we can come and marry your women, at the university, obtain the citizenship, and now we can use the Constitution against your culture by your laws. We can take your laws against you by marrying into your culture. That was the way of infiltration.
Now, you say that the majority of Islam is really political, it's not religious, but yet we see that there's almost a ban of anything to do with Christianity in the American schools, but somehow our children are being taught as far Islamic prayers, and the doors open, and it seems like Islam is the only protected religion in America today.
Well, the mountain of education is the most important mountain, in our culture, because that's where our children are sitting at every day, going to elementary school, going to grammar school, and there the infiltration today. Tomorrow I will be talking about in detail, how it's done, but it is how they're infiltrating the Ivy League university and taking the power in writing the curriculum for the American children and offering the universities big sums of money, from $12 million to to $25 million a year to open Islamic centers. These Islamic centers will be able to write the school curriculum, the public school curriculum. And when they write those curriculum, what happened? They establish Islamization of the children. Gulen, he's one of the Turkish prince that he sits here in the United States of America, his friend of Erdogan, the president of Turkey. He said, why we need to destroy America by airplanes, while we can go to the fiber of this nation, bring grammar, Islamic grammar, English, Islamic English, geography, Islamic geography, history, Islamic history, and change the culture from its fiber. These are charter schools. Those today, there are over 150 Islamic charter schools. Each state pay about $150 million to invest every year in those schools to bring about Islamization to America. But nevertheless, everything is happening now. Since they saw the university students are converting to Islam and it's easy to socialize them and bring Marxism to them, they thought, okay, if we are going after the big student, why didn't we go for the young, the 7th grader and younger? And now they are. And when we look at what they're teaching them, it's called Common Core. Common Core is the deadliest weapon ever. And when we look who's involved in Common Core, we find the Bill Gates, the Bushes, the Clinton, the Romneys, and the Kuwaitis, the Qataris, the Saudis, and the Libyans, the Gaddafi family. All these families are sitting together on the same table. Even though we are fighting with these people, but these people are sitting on the table. It's really the God of this world that they're worshiping and not the God of heaven and earth. So
now there's something that's transpired in America, that there are so many publishers of books for the curriculum for schools. There were dozens, but now it's been narrowed down to just a few. Can you tell us? Tell us about it. So 3 publishers of school curriculum, books for schools, 3 publishers left in America when there used to be dozens. And who owns them?
Well, you have to come tomorrow and see that, because, this is really, because that's the heart of the whole thing. And you don't want to miss that part. But I'll give you one of them. Haftel. This is one of the bigger ones, and 2 other more, and I will talk about those tomorrow.
Okay.
But they are bought by Saudi dollars, and they are sitting behind the scene. And tomorrow you will understand how the Muslim world controlling the American world and the purpose of the United Nations and the United States of America.
Okay, well, we are looking forward to that, because we are seeing, as of right now, our president has effectively turned over the licensing of the internet to an international body now, to where it will be an unchallengeable executive that actually was able to run the internet, which is, that's the beginning of where they're going to completely take it away from us, any possibility of communication.
I believe if the church prays, and if we stand in the gap, and if we interact with our, leaders, so-called political leaders, and let them know about our displeasure. There are several are fighting from both aisles, Democrat and Republican. Just as we saw, they just reverted, the issue on the American can sue the Saudi Arabian government for bringing terrorism to the United States and support them financially.
Isn't that the first thing that the Congress has overturned a veto from the president?
That's the first one. And
so the president was protecting Saudi Arabia.
He was, but yet our Senate, Democrat and liberals today, they are supporting many other things, and they did not stand up to Obama in all this, while they could have done the same thing time and time again. But now we're coming to the place, this will be the dog leash that will be put on the American neck by turning everything. Obama is trying to keep this, that it's irrevocable, that if new president come in, could not change that. But he could not, because as far as he can go, it's executive order. Executive order can be turned. But the minute the UN will take this, now what happened, they will know where you live by your IP address, what you watched on your computer, where did you go on your computer, what media you listened to, what ministry, what you said, like what we're doing tonight will be illegal. And when they capture that, this will be the hate crime bill. The hate crime bill is a UN bill. It's UN 1618. The UN bill 1618, it is the hate crime to disallow anyone to speak on Islam or against Islam. You will be penalized with a hefty, penalty. You'll be thrown in jail, and then you have to go to special camp to retrain psychologically to accept and love the Muslim people. This is, what Hillary Clinton will be bringing with her. That's the first order she'll be bringing to United States of America. So if the UN take this, will be dominated by world civilization. These are 57 nations at the UN. They call the OIC, Organization Islamic Conference. The Organization Islamic Conference, they control the entire United Nations. United Nations plays the puppet of Islam.
Okay, so this is part of what the subversion, the infiltration, the taking over of America, that was part of the plan.
That is.
From your higher-ups then.
The only reason why they're doing this because behind the scene, they don't think Hillary will be able to win. They feel that Hillary is not going to be able to survive this because she's dealing with crisis, health crisis. And and I believe it's very catastrophic in her life. And the other part, what we see in the media, and we'll talk about the mountain of media tomorrow, which is very important, is why they're hiding the truth from the public. Is the silent majority that is sitting out there. They have not spoken, and all this is coming all together, and they're really afraid of this. So that's why they are subjugating America to United Nations. They tried to do this to bring America under the UN, and that's why they sequestered our military to give the upper hand to the United Nations. So we are coming to the place where Obama, before he steps down, is trying to turn the reign to United Nations. And here's the scary part. What if Obama becomes the president of the United Nations?
Well, I guess we're going to have to find out. Now, Kamal, I don't know, and people are wondering, can they trust you? I mean, you are the master of subversion. That's what you were sent here to do. How do we know that you're not feeding us, just a bunch of scare stuff that, and that you are not actually continuing to do what you were trained to do?
Well, there's a story out there, there's a man by name John the Baptist. He was baptizing people, and then he baptized Jesus Christ. And then one day he was taken to jail. And they asked John the Baptist, and then John the Baptist sent his apostle to ask Jesus, are you the one, or should we wait for the one yet to come? And Jesus says, I am. He said, look at my fruit. The blinds are healed. The lambs are walking, all of it. Look at the fruit and look at the ministry, because today, people like me, they're under war. And the war that is coming against us, like Muslim Brotherhood today, they have a list of 60 men and women they call Islamophobe. What's Islamophobe? Are those who are tackling Islam like I'm tackling it. I could not give away the secret of Islam and come and say, I'm part of that.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll give you that, but what happened? I mean, you came over here with one agenda. Something happened in your life to change this.
Yes.
I want to hear that. I want to hear what happened in your life.
My territory was the jail system. Our focus was on a black African American to convert them to Islam. That's number one. The jail system, because what we're trying to do is divide the culture. Today, the culture is divided, and that agenda has established.
It's worse than it's ever been.
The second one, it was universities. Today, the rise up of radicalism is coming out of university. Our children that we send in, they're rising against the people who sent them there. The third one is the political system. The political system are selling their children into, the god of Mammon, offering their children on an altar of sacrifice to God. His name is Baal and Amalek. So therefore what happened is, and the last one is in the university where we seduced the professors, where the professors now, they're offering the life, because the uniqueness about those professors, when you bring about liberalism, secularism, socialism, Marxism, Islamism, all of them, or fascism, or Nazism, all of them are an ism. and they have the same God, and they are together in unholy alliances. And so therefore what happened, we were shifting the culture, and one day I got in a car wreck. The car wreck was so severe that I cracked my neck in 2 places, and I fell upside down on my head, in a mud hole. And 3 different men rose up and helped me. The first one on the road, the second one in the hospital, and the third one in the hospital. 2 of them doctor, and 1 of them was a normal man, a businessman. But the uniqueness about all this, my life was being changed. And now I'm at the hospital, and these men came to visit me, and all of a sudden they start hugging each other. They belong to special Bible class. Altogether, they belong. There's 60 businessmen all together involved in this. And now these men are, they know each other. And it's amazing when we look at things as, accidents, God look at it as God-ordered incidents. Because when God puts something together, no one can take apart. And I came here to destroy this nation culturally, but this nation has a God that sits on its wall, and he watches day and night, and he's a consuming fire. And he's looking for those with a heart. He searches the heart. And I have a heart for a false God, and he remembered my cry on that rooftop. And now, in their home, I saw something different, that my God and their God are 2 different gods. And what I saw also, I saw that what they have, it's the unconditional love. That's something I never learned and never understood. How can you be unconditional? This one is, everything is conditional. Today you're my best brother. Tomorrow if you convert, I have the right to take your head off. You're my best wife. Tomorrow I have the right to dishonor you by taking your blood off and your head off, or do whatever. Things can change from one perspective to another. But here, these people love me unconditionally without knowing who I am. And their home, I saw the biggest Bible. Not the one they read, the one they lived. And there, I was examining 2 gods, and I saw the 2 gods. This one, his name is Jehovah God Almighty, and this one, his name is Allah. This one so loved the world. This one said, if the world worth anything to him, even a net leg, he'd have destroyed it time and time again. He hated the world. This one so loved the world that he gave. This one took. This one gave his son. This one brought an orphan man. This one brought spirit of adoption of Jesus Christ. This one brought orphan spirit. This one gave his life. This one took nearly 300 million life. This one gave his blood. This one drank the blood of his enemy. This one healed the blind. This one shunned the blind. He said, you are not good enough to be a Muslim. This one said to the prostitute, go sin no more. This one commended the prostitute, stoning. I was going like, they can't be the same God. And my eyes were open. The Word of God says, the God of this world has blinded the unbelievers, lest the gospel of good news. You are the gospel of good news. And when these people reach out to me, my eyes were open. It was the amazing grace. And now, my eyes were open. Now I can see. But when they sent me home, when I saw the tangible God, that they speak to their God speak to them. They have a relationship. Oh, they have healing. I'm going, give me this magic. I want it. They said, well, his name is Jesus. I said, well, I'm allergic to Jesus. Can we just do with the magic and without Jesus? They said, it's one outfit fit all. I'm going like, this is not kosher. So it was very kosher. Sorry.
You actually said that's not kosher.
So I'm sitting in their home, and now they're telling me I became their Nana. I became Nana Kamal. They said, you can go home. They bought me a brand new car to replace my old car, and they gave me a set of keys to their home. And they said, you can go. I said, but I'm not feeling well. In a couple more months, I'll be much, much better. They said, you can come anytime you want to. I went home, my home defeated for the first time. I fell on my knees, facing the eastern window toward Mecca, and I cried out with a loud voice to my God, Allah, Rabbi wa Mawlay, my Lord and my King, why have you done such a thing to me? It's not the car wreck I'm complaining about. It's about these crazy Christians. They have a relationship with their God. Oh, they cry, Daddy, 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 Daddy all the time. Oh, he answers. I want to have a relationship with you too. I want to hear that you love me. Allah, if you are real, speak to me. Guess what Allah said? Some of you know who he is. He did not say a word. That day I came to put the gun in my head and clock out for the first time. And behold, I heard the voice of my Father for the first time. Creator of heaven and earth. He knew me by my name. He knew my everything. He called me 3 times. Kamal. Kamal. Kamal, my son. The Muslim, the Jews, and the Christian, they call on the God of Father Abraham. Once you call on the God of Father Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, the God of your family, I fell on my knees and I cried out with a loud voice, God of Father Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, if you are real, speak to me. God of Father Abraham, if you are real, I want to know you. Well, behold, the room was filled with his glory. And as he stood there, his name is Yahweh. The Lord is one. In his presence, there's a fullness of joy. There's power. There's healing. There is love. He's the essence of all things. He's the light of the world. He's the center. He's the word. He's the spirit. He's the life. He's the glory and the lifter of our head. He is everything, and he's dressed like a Jewish man. He has holes in his hand and his feet. As I looked at him, I said, who are you, my Lord? And he said, I am that I am. I said, well, what is that supposed to mean? I'm a Bedouin. I have no understanding. He said, I am the Aleph. I'm the Tav. I'm the beginning. I'm the end. I am everything. I have known you before I formed the foundation of the earth. I have loved you before I formed you in your mother womb. Kum, Kamal, arise. You are my warrior. You are not their warrior. As I stood up, my neck was intact. My collarbone, my chest, my knee, everything was perfect. But that was not the miracle. The miracle, my heart was set free. My mind was released. I was changed. I became a real boy for the first time. I saw life. And when I saw life, I said to him, my Lord, I will live and die for you. He said, do not die for me, Kamal. I died for you that you may live. I said, my Lord, give me permission by the skin of their teeth and by their eyelashes, I will make them Christians, Muslim style. He said, the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few. Be an ambassador of mine. What I could not fathom is from what I used to be to ambassador of God. And the ambassador of God is never active unless you activate it. Go in my name. Engage, engage, engage. Because if you don't engage, it's not real. Many of you are here tonight to engage. Make it real.
We're going to take, thank you, Kamal. Thank you. Well, I think this is a perfect time to engage. We give everyone out there in cyberspace around the world the opportunity to financially support this ministry. We are, with great expense, freely giving, and now it is your turn to freely give in return. We're asking you to help us keep the lights on and to get out to the world, to get the message of truth out to the world. And what is going to be exposed to this weekend needs to be heard around the world. Here's a man whose heaven has reached down and completely changed this man's life, and he is an ambassador. He's a sent one by the Almighty, not only an apostle, sent one, but an ambassador. And we are going to now give you just a couple minutes. This is not for our studio audience. We have two times for them to be able to give during the weekend, but this is for you who are watching this broadcast wherever you are, whenever it is. If this is a provision for you, then we ask you to recognize your part and stand with us. Thank you. We'll see you in just a moment. My journey started on my knees in second grade at my bed and asking God to use my life. I committed it to Him. It had many twists and turns, had no idea where it would take me, but part of the journey was Marine Security Guard Battalion in Washington, D.C., being trained by the U.S. State Department to guard the U.S. embassies. It was during that time that I learned how the Marines were to handle things. Number one, the ambassador is the highest ranking official in that country. When the Vice President of the United States comes to visit, the highest ranking official of the U.S. government in that country is the ambassador still, because the ambassador represents the president, and the vice president only represents the vice president. We are told that under no circumstances are we ever to dip the colors of the United States flag to any other nation. We are never to dip the colors to any foreign dignitary. We're told the ambassador nor the president will ever kiss the ring of the Pope, will ever bow to another person on the planet, because we stand as sovereign upon the planet, one nation under God, and we bow to no one but the God that is the foundation of America. When I watched Obama bow to Muslim kings, I understood that any private in the U.S. Marine Corps would immediately been court-martialed and put in prison for that act. I knew right then that this man, regardless of what he says, because I live in Israel, I am around Muslims all the time, I have good friends that are Arabs, I have friends that are Muslims. I've done business with them for decades. And I understood immediately that this man is a Muslim. That was my position, regardless of whatever else happened. I'm going to ask Kamal, right straight, Kamal, okay? I'm going to ask you, do you know, as a political subversive, do you know what Obama's mission is? Am I anywhere near right? Tell me right in front of everyone, and tell my family, tell everyone if I'm crazy or if there is reality to what I'm saying.
One day we have to stand before the living God, the only true living God, and we have to account for our giftings and our talents. And today, as I stand in here, Obama is the Manchurian candidate. He was prompted, trained for this hour. The reason why they are not releasing his university education, all of it out there, because when he did his paper on Saul David Alinsky wrote two books, but one of them is called The Rules for Radicals. Rules for Radicals is how to subjugate Western culture to destroy, how to bring it down from within. Therefore, him and Hillary Clinton was the first one to write the paper. Her paper was, the entire thesis at the beginning, it was on this. That's before I went to law school. And so therefore what happened is both of them have this ideology, but Saul David Alinsky dedicated his book to Satan. And so therefore what happened is we need to understand the Word of God says you will know them by their fruit. So when you say you're a Christian and you advance Islamization, this is what we refer to in Islam, it's called al-taqiyya. Al-taqiyya as a doctrine is to lie by omission. And lying by omission, Muhammad, in his hadith, his traditions, he said, the al-taqiyya to be practiced until the days of judgment. So all Muslims must, that's part of their belief. As a matter of fact, the Quran says, وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Meaning, the Christian have deceived and the Jews have deceived, but Allah is the greatest deceiver. Is one of his 99 names is the great deceiver. So therefore what happened is when you are warring against your enemy, it's considered righteousness. Even when you lie, or even when you don't tell them the truth, even when you conjure a story. So therefore, but we need to look at the fruit of the man. When he was a senator, when he pledged allegiance to the American flag, he used to stand up and pledge this way. Who does this in the world to pledge to the American flag? Only the Muslim do this. We pledge to Allah 5 times a day, saying, Inna salati my prayers, وَنُسُكِي, my fasting, وَمَحْيَايَ, my life, وَمَمَاتِي, my death, لِلَّهِ, to God, to the, not the God, but a God of this world, the God of this world. La sharika lah, he doesn't have a son, he doesn't have a friend, he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have a spirit. وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُهُ, and I'm commended by him. وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, I will die for the sake of Allah. This is how we pledge 5 times a day facing Mecca.
With your hands like this.
Yes, the right hand to
So when we have all the
subjugate.
pictures of him with everyone has their hand over their heart,
And his hand
he is
He's pledging to Allah. When we look at Shahrazad, the New York Square bomber.
okay. So we're as a Muslim, as a subversive, you know this.
Yes.
That's one. I guess you know it. You spoke the prayer in Arabic.
But then we have 5 pillars in Islam and 1 invisible pillar. I'm going to focus on the invisible pillar tomorrow.
Okay.
But, and the first pillar is to say there's no God but Allah, Muhammad, his prophet. In Arabic, it says, La ilaha illallah wa Muhammad Rasulullah. Our Mr. Obama had a ring on his finger. It says, La ilaha illallah. There's no God but Allah.
Okay, how do you know? Because, of course, Snopes is trying to whitewash it. No, it's just got little squiggles. But, he got this ring. He took it off long enough for his wife to put it on his finger, and it remains on his hand. Now, how do you know what it says?
One of my friends, he's a Secret Service. They do details for me when I go to D.C., and he sent me the picture. He said, we got this picture on his finger, and we understood probably it's Arabic or Hebrew. What did it say? So I told him it says there's no God but Allah.
So you were sent a picture by the Secret Service of this ring?
One of the guys, yes. He sent it to me.
Okay.
And he, and then I looked at it and I said, this is what it says exactly. There's no God but Allah.
Say?
La ilaha illallah. There's no God but Allah. And so therefore that is the first pillar of Islam, like the 10 Commandments, is to fulfill that, that promise. And if you don't, you're not Muslim. So therefore, this is the second one. But in Salat, in prayers, we have 3 stands. The first stand, may I stand up and show you?
Oh, please, please.
This is the first stand. When we're praying, we're pledging this way. When we are pledging to Muhammad, the power of Muhammad, we pledge this way. And when we pledge to Allah, we pledge all the way down to the ground. So when somebody bows and grab the king hand and kiss his signet ring, he says, my authority, my power is under your God, and I will serve this God that I'm kissing his signet ring.
And that's what Obama did.
And all the Muslim
times.
world understood what it is.
Yeah.
The whole Muslim world,
no secret.
Everybody was celebrating.
Be an idiot. You have to be an American idiot to actually believe that no, he's just bowing.
The whole world, Muslim world, celebrated this.
Yeah.
But Hillary, on the other hand, her right-hand woman, her name is Huma Abdeddin. Huma Abdeddin, mother, father, and brother, all of them are Islamic radical and has raised funds for Islamic terrorism in the United States of America. And not just that, but they also are involved in bringing finances to America to convert American, churches to mosques and whatsoever have you, and bring about Islamization to America.
This is part of the whole Chrislam,
Correct.
what Rick Warren is doing, trying to meld it all together.
And I will talk about that tomorrow.
Oh, lovely.
You got to hear about it tomorrow.
Yeah, purpose-driven. Let's find out what the real purpose behind this moron is.
So therefore, what happened is, this is involved. This is Hillary Clinton is sitting today and taking Islamic funds to bring the OIC into power into the United States of America, the Organization Islamic Conference. The reason why our president wants her, because she will take America in a place that we have not been this way before. She will finish America. She has painted the Christians as xenophobe, Islamophobe, irredeemable, homophobe, and every other phobe, and she just called them names. She is painting the Christians just like Hitler painted the Jewish people with their animals. These people are not real people. They are not real human. They are irredeemable. That's what she said, word for word. The next thing, he executed 6 million of these. Our, brothers and
Deplorables.
Sisters. They destroyed them.
That's what the meaning is. That's what she's talking about. Basket of deplorables. Because they're subhuman.
Yes, and the unfortunate thing is our world is shifting, and America have not understood yet that, many of the things that's happening in America is to seize America from the roots and disable America to be the nation that God created. There are two nations on earth created for such time and hour and for God purpose. They were not there geographically, historically, or any other way. They were birthed by the Spirit of God, Israel, and the United States of America.
Amen.
And when God births something, it is for His purpose. And know that we are human. We make a lot of mistakes. Everybody make a mistake. But nevertheless, America has done great deed. America is the breadbasket of the world. America is the city on a hill that feeds the millions of people all over. We give monies to the whole world. America. If America was not there, tyranny will fill the earth. The Muslim would have taken over the world long time ago. America. Our soldiers today, you see graveyards by the millions all over the world. Soldiers, Jews and Christians, died for other human beings. They said, we came to set the captive free. There is nothing like it. It's birthed by the Word of God, in the time of God, for the glory of God. We are purposed, and now they want to prostitute the nation and destroy the nation from within. And who's to do it but the Manchurian candidate, Obama and Hillary Clinton?
Tell me, what's going on with the Department of Homeland Security? It's being filled with Muslims. We have them. Muslims have actually removed 1,000 articles or issues of how to identify terrorism from the FBI manual. What is going on?
Well,
you're the expert. I mean, you're the one who is doing this stuff.
Well, I wrote a book about it too.
Okay,
and I did series like yours, big one, for people to learn about all this.
Yeah, and I've seen one of the short ones, and it's outstanding, and we're going to make this available to the world. They need to hear you.
Yes, sir. It was 1,000 curriculum. It is no longer 1,000 curriculum.
Oh, it was 1,000, and now
It's beyond, because our nation has been transformed. The enemy of the United States now sit in those places. It used to be training by the American, professional. Now it is the Muslim Brotherhood that is training our American soldiers, our American Homeland Security, our FBI, our National Security, our CIA, all of this trained by the Muslim Brotherhood on Islam and on terrorism. So therefore what happened, we see problem happening in the United States of America, California, Florida, New York, Fort Hood, all those places. Why could we not have stopped these people, from doing what they're doing? Because the executive order by Barack Hussein Obama says you could not paint these people, even if they have a shabby back end, you could not paint them with terrorism. The only way you can have to stop them is when they are in the act of terrorism. When that man in Seattle, Washington, asking people, are you a Muslim? And they said no. So he took his knife, slash and stab. Allahu Akbar. Slash and stab. Allahu Akbar. He went killing, tried to kill 9 different men. When we look at these people been imported by the administration of Barack Hussein Obama. Some of them are here illegally. They came to our nation because of the executive order that he put in there. And this man with the knife, he was a leader. What leader was he? He was a leader of a Somalian or, a whole neighborhood. So this one, if he's learning this and doing this, he's setting the example to everybody else. Why could we not stop him? Because it says you could not stop him until he is executing.
Okay, so while he is actually slicing into the throat of someone, that's the only time that you can
stop him.
stop him. And
Yeah, before that,
Obama put this in place.
Because they have 3 incidents on him, they could have arrested him before. But according to everything they removed from the FBI and the CIA and all this, now they could not do it this way. They have to do it the Muslim Brotherhood way, which is now, our president has an envoy. It's 9 Muslim men and a woman. And these men, they are moving all over the world. They're sequestering United States of America military and power and advancing Islamization all over the Western civilization. This is happening by design. The refugees, I will talk about it in my second lesson tomorrow, and why the refugees are here and what their purpose. They're already cutting into our poor people. They're taking the food stamps, the free housing, free schooling, free transportation, and they're getting credit cards from our American government. We didn't do this for our poor people here in America. The one they needed it. We never gave them credit card. Why are we giving them $500 per family head? So if there's a family, it's 14 in there. God help us. How much money and who's paying for this? Why? Why many other things? But I don't want to talk about my classes tomorrow. So we got to keep this. If you want to hear it, you got to come tomorrow and hear it, because this is going to be good. And we're going to put everything out there that you have not heard or seen before, and you will know where we are in time. Our time is very short, and I believe we live in finals of finals of finals of days. You know, I was sharing with you a story earlier. There's a place between God and me, that place on my knees, on my face. And many times when I'm sitting there, that's when I hear God speak. And that is the place where we know, that is a place of humility. He conquered the world in humility. And I heard the word Daniel. And when I opened the Bible to look for Daniel, I opened on the vision of Daniel. There, as I read the vision, and he saw the statue, he said, that's what Nebuchadnezzar saw, and this is what it means. Go tell him this. So when I looked upon this and I started drawing the picture, God shows Nebuchadnezzar all the Babylonian system that took place in time and history. The first one, it was the Babylonian system that they created the world from clay. In their image, they created the Tower of Babel, clay, dirt. Then it went to the golden, which is, Nebuchadnezzar, and then to the silver, and then to the bronze, and then to the steel. The steel is the Roman Empire, the final Roman Empire, and then this is the Babylonian Empire made out of steel in their image. And then when we look at the feet, it was a mix of the clay and the steel together, Brother Michael. And so what happened there, they do not weld together, but yet they are perfectly set together. What causes that to happen? They have unholy alliances. 2 systems, 2 unholy alliances, 2 Babylonian systems. And when the Lord says, look and behold, when we saw those 10 million Muslims flooding Europe, that's when the clay mixed into the steel. And behold, the Lord says, my kingdom is coming nigh, because it'll hit at the feet and destroy. He said, tell my people, you are at the end of time. The ship has landed, the anchor has set, the engine is turned off, the people has sat down, and now something is going to take place. Where you sit on this agenda is the separation of the wheat and the chaff. You're either with God or you're either with the world. Where you're filling your jar of oil.
And tomorrow we will pick it back up with Kamal, Bill Cloud, and so I would like to pray. Yivarechecha Yehovah v'yishmerecha. Ya'ir Yehovah panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Yehovah panav elecha v'yistem lecha shalom v'shem Yeshua HaMashiach sar shalom. Yehovah bless you and keep you. Yehovah make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yehovah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. In the name of the authority of the Prince of Peace, Yeshua, our Messiah, our Savior and King. Amen, amen. We'll see you here tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Don't miss a moment. We'll see you then. All right. That's right. Beautiful.